Hello, welcome to our collection. Well, when you first enter my home, there's two copes on each side. One side I have games, this side I have games. This is more my kids' side. These are our arcade sticks. This is the Q4. It works with the 360, PS3, and the PC. I think it does work with the PS4 because I've used it on the PS4, certain games. This right here, you guys saw me in a few videos ago. I got this and I opened it and I put a Smash little insert inside. It's not real, it's just a piece of paper. But I did that and I customized the buttons as well. And then I'm a heavy collector in media as well. Like I love 4K Blu-rays. I had a massive Blu-ray collection. And I got rid of most of my Blu-rays except for the 3D ones and like the collection stuff. And I kept every single 4K movie that I came across after I got rid of my Blu-rays. But this is what I have left of my Blu-rays here. I would say the Miyazaki collection here is probably worth the most out of all these Blu-rays, to me anyway. My son, he loves Coraline, and in this, recently, I found this. I had to order it, and it wasn't from America. I guess you could say it's a foreign title, but this is a Hulu movie that recently came out, and I really enjoyed this film. It's called No One Will Save You. It actually stars the girl that plays in The Last of Us Season 2 as Abby. She does not say one word in this movie, and it's about aliens, so I'm not going to spoil it, but check it out. It's really good. Over here, we have the Pokemon Switch OLED dock, some controllers, some other controllers stashed away in here. We got about 4 Xbox Series controllers, an extra PS5 controller, a Pro, a few Joy-Cons with different colors, the 3D glasses that go to the TV. This is a 3D Bravia Sony television. I believe it's 54 inches or 52 inches, one of the two. 50-inch TV. Down here, my sons, they have the VR2, which my youngest son can't play it yet because it destroys their eyeballs. My oldest uses it, plays Five Nights at Freddy's. They have a PS5 Slim with an external drive. The dual edge controller. This was courtesy of Hyphy Gold. He actually did a trade with me. This is my second controller, but you'll see the next one later. Blue PS5 controller, the VR, the Series. Regular black controller here, the Halo external drive there. I believe it's a 2 terabyte. This is my son's desk. The oldest sits here and does his homework and stuff. Both children have their own OLED switch with their own docks and everything. My youngest has a standard one. My oldest has the Pokemon one, which I traded for as well. That was from a subscriber, so thank you, Ryan. This is the MetaQuest 3. I actually got that in a trade as well. If you look up, there's posters here. And the majority of these posters have come from GameStop, just people getting rid of like stuff. They're like closing businesses that were closing, that were getting rid of like pictures and stuff like that. A lot of it was from GameStop, the posters and stuff. Pre-order bonuses, etc. This is my Xbox original collection, OG. It consists of 160 games. One of my favorite games that I have on this system is going to be the Time Splitters series. When I was younger, and I'm a huge Sony fan, so back in the day I was a Sony pony, right? I don't collect for PlayStation 2 or down from there because they didn't really keep the backwards compatibility. Microsoft did. So out of respect, majority of these games, I would say probably maybe 70% of them, I'm not able to play on the series or on the 360. They're not backwards compatible. But I collect them just for the fun of it. The Time Splitters series, beautiful game. Original makers were from the 007 GoldenEye from Nintendo 64, and I had a lot of memories playing that game as well. But I wanted to follow the series, and when I did, I discovered Time Splitters, and Time Splitters perks, stuff like that that you use in the modern games and Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, etc. That element kind of came from the Time Splitters series. The hardest games to find for me, there's two, it's a series, is going to be The Suffering. I don't know if you guys have ever played The Suffering 2, but The Suffering 1 takes place in a prison. You supposedly killed your family and they have you in jail, but you start seeing these monsters and you break out. It's a horror game. What's really cool though is that when they made The Suffering 2, not too many people knew about it. It continued off from the first Suffering. I believe originally it was the only game that ever did that. If you had the save saved on your console, PS2 or Xbox, it would detect if you beat the game good or bad, and it would start you off in the Ties That Bind, which is the second Suffering, in that position. So you would be a good person in the beginning or bad, and then obviously you work your way to the end of that game. But both of these games were actually really hard for me to find, and I mean that beats like Def Jam, Fight for New York, Scarface, a lot of other grails I have besides Silent Hill 4. Silent Hill 4, The Room was kind of hard for me to find. I would have to say these were the hardest to find. As far as Xbox, there's nothing really I'm searching for on the original Xbox. They just come, and when they come, you know, I remember like old games that I used to play, and it makes me think, okay, maybe I need to find that game, you know. And The Suffering was one of them. My biggest grail on the OG Xbox, and the most awesome thing that ever happened to me, honestly, was probably finding the Guy game. The Guy game I found for $1 at a yard sale not that long ago. Has a lot of value. I'm not going to get into why, but very cool to find that for $1. A couple other ones in here. Silent Hill, The Room I just talked about. RoboCop. I found that at a pawn shop, and it was, I think, like $8 or $7, and it was sealed. So it's still sealed in there. I put a little protector on it. I don't really have I don't really have old gen stuff protected that much, which I probably should, but I don't. As we come down from the original Xbox, I have the 360. Everything in my collection is categorized and in alphabetical order. We have the 360. And 360 consists of about 300 games. Goes to the top here. Making room in a tight space is really hard to do. I really wish I had hang shelves, but I don't. I have these, I have to work with what I get, you know. So recently I just made room in this room, and then I made more room in the room to make room in here, if that makes sense. One of the hardest games to find for me was Splatterhouse and the Silent Hill series. Before this epic collection that I have been working hard to get, I had a lot of PlayStation 3's games, and a majority of them were the same ones you see here. I had a huge 360 collection. I had an original Super NES collection, N64, you name it, GameCube. It's crazy because GameCube became the most valuable out of all of them, and I didn't collect the GameCube that much. There isn't really much that I'm looking for on Xbox, on 360, Xbox One, so I can't really say that I have grails, you know, that I'm searching for, or games that I'm searching for. When I see it, it'll pop up. I only have three 360 games in the grail area. I have the Star Wars The Force Unleashed 2, which isn't that great, a sealed copy of Motorsport 3, and a sealed copy of G.I. Joe, The Rise of the Cobra. Coming down, you'll see my son's huge collection of Minecraft figures. We have the Xbox One, the Xbox Series, I kind of mush together. I keep them the same in the same area. I don't separate them, only because they look very similar. The spines are green, just like the prior system on the Series. The consoles all together, we're talking the Series and the Xbox One, they both consist of 300 games. So you know, it comes. They come. When the Xbox stuff comes, I just take it. You know, if it's something I don't have, I'll add it in, even if it's a crappy game. I just believe that having a big library is very good for the longevity of physical media. I started playing Starfield, which was an Xbox Series exclusive. A lot of people thought it was only digital, but there is a physical disc, and there's the proof of it. The digital part came in the expansion, which I have never opened. Hard to play games when you're busy all the time. The one game that comes to mind that was really hard for me to find after the fact that I found it on the Switch was Ori and the Blind Forest. I am not sure if you guys have played Ori and the Blind Forest or Ori, the Will of the Wisps. I have this digital. It's still sealed. But it's an epic story, great platformer. They also just made a game, the company that made this, Moon, I think they're called. They made No Rest for the Wicked, which is supposed to be getting a physical release on the Xbox Series and the PlayStation 5. Now, having two boys, it's hard to keep up with co-op games and stuff like that. So when I come across doubles to games that have co-op, I pick them up. There are some doubles in here that are single player games as well. That's just in case my boys want to play games and they want to play the same game, but like The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. There's a few like Burnout. That's a good one to play co-op. As far as like Mario Parties or Mario Kart. Probably the best one we played on the PlayStation 5 is the Ghostbusters game co-op. Really cool to do co-op. And then down here I have my doubles of my 3DS and DS games. My DS collection consists of about 150 games, I believe. Some of the hardest games to find, obviously, were the Pokemon games, being complete in box and whatnot. The coolest game that I found, and cheapest game that I found, almost pretty much, was The Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks. I did find that at a pawn shop for $2, complete in box. An event that I had a while ago, I found a case that had multiple DS games in it. I did not know they were in there. It was literally a mistake. You probably hear that from a lot of filthy people. I paid $2 for the case, and inside were a lot of grails. There was Mega Man's, Pokemon's. When I spent time later on trying to find the boxes to them, and a lot of them are in here. So, my 3DS collection consists of about 120 games. One of the coolest finds was not that long ago at the swap meet, shout out to Oscar, was a sealed Metroid. So that's really cool to have in my collection. Another grail I must mention is before it was even released, there was a leak of the Shantae Pirate's Curse big box, and Hyphy Gold happened to manage to get it for me. So that was really cool. Shout out to you, Hyphy. I don't know why I started collecting Wii, but I just did. It was a system I was never really interested in back in the day. I thought it was cool that it played GameCube games. So that was pretty awesome. My Wii collection consists of about 260 games. Some of the most epic games that I played on the Wii is going to be Mario Galaxy 2, New Super Mario Brothers when it first came out. I really did enjoy the motion controls on Resident Evil 4. And a lot of people probably didn't like the way that felt, but I thought it was great. My favorite find on the Wii, and what I believe is the most valuable, is going to be, again, we're back at the Grail corner. Believe it or not, this corner used to be filled with just people who have passed away in my life, and I didn't want to look at that no more, so I decided to put games in there. It's dead. I would say the hardest game and most epic find that I've had on the Wii, Silent Hill Shattered Memories. I found this at the local farmer's market not that long ago, and I traded for it, so pretty epic on that. If you guys want to see that, you can go back in some of my videos and check them out. Another one was a while ago, a really honorable manager at GameStop got this traded in, and at the time this wasn't worth that much. It was like a $15 to $20 game at GameStop, and he took it in as the regular Metro Prime 3, and so he sold it to me really cheap, so I found that really cheap as well. Now, I believe one of the reasons why I started collecting for the Wii was because I started collecting for the Wii U. The Wii U is the last disc-based systems that Nintendo made. Big discs. Now, we're not talking about little discs, we're talking about big discs. So I think that's gonna have a lot of meaning later on in time. One of the hardest games for me to find on the Wii U was actually Tekken Tag Tournament 2, and I believe I got that in a trade. So many trades have happened lately with YouTubers and just friends in general that I forgot who that came from. So I apologize, but Tekken Tag Tournament 2, it might have been Retro Madness who traded me. Appreciate it regardless. Retro Madness is awesome. I am not going for a full set on the Wii U, only because it's just like the Xbox and the PS3 to me. If they come, they come. If I end up with a full set, I end up with it. I don't really believe in full sets anyway. I just think you should collect the things that you like. I just so happen to like to hold on to a few little things that I don't necessarily need or want, but I just feel like it'll beef up the collection a little bit, getting some fluff, you know. Anyways, that's my Wii U collection. My PlayStation 3 collection is about 316 games. One of the hardest games that I had a hard time finding, again, was Splatterhouse. Another one on the PS3 I can mention is Stranglehold. I am looking for the collector's edition. If you follow my videos, you would have known that I got the collector's edition on the 360 not that long ago. Came with 2 discs. I had a DVD that had I think it's the sequel or prequel, I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it. It's called Hard Boiled. It's a movie, and it takes place actually before Stranglehold. And Chow Yun-fat stars in the game as well as in the movie. He did all the animations and all that stuff. So if you guys haven't played Stranglehold, it's a really good game. I guess one of my favorite games that I loved to play on the PlayStation 3 at the time was the Twisted Metal revamp they did. It wasn't the same as the prior games, but I just am such a diehard Twisted Metal fan that I had to get the PS3 version. Kind of step back a minute and just say that the Eco and Shadow of the Colossus collection, because Shadow of the Colossus is one of my favorite games, was probably one of my favorite PS3 games. Also, on the same side of those 2 games that I just mentioned, I would have to say Mirror's Edge kind of revolutionized first-person games in a different way. And I really believe if you guys haven't played Mirror's Edge and you like first-person shooters as well as parkour, you will love that game. It's what started the whole parkouring. I always thought if they made a Call of Duty type of Mirror's Edge game, it would have kind of kicked off a new wave of first-person shooters. But I could just see running off the wall, spinning in the air, and shooting your opponent, and getting points for doing that, and kind of upgrading your character, and having better running skills and better moves to dodge, slide, jump. You can jump higher to higher locations and stuff. I always thought if they did focus on that whole multiplayer aspect of that game in Mirror's Edge, it would have been a really good, challenging multiplayer game. But if you guys haven't played Mirror's Edge, excellent single-player adventure game, first person with parkour elements. This is the cream of the crop. My Switch collection, which is about 750 games. I kind of like to round up since I'm so high, so we'll just call it a 800. Pretty awesome to collect for. I haven't had this much fun collecting for a video game system in a long, long time. It's amazing of what they can put out as far as old gen stuff remastered and put on a little tiny cart this big. Very impressive for me. For what Nintendo has done, because ever since the Wii and the Wii U, and even before that, the Nintendo 64 and the GameCube, I never cared for. I just thought the games were more teeny bopper-ish. I mean, there were Resident Evil and stuff like that on GameCube, but one of the best games I played is Eternal Darkness. So if you guys haven't played that, definitely get a GameCube to play that. I did have Time Splitters on GameCube as well, and as well as I had Second Sight, Mario Sunshine, Wind Waker. I loved Wind Waker, so I did play that all the way through when I was a kid. But anyway, going back to the Switch, I never had any motivation to collect for Nintendo until the Switch came out. And when that happened, something sparked in my head to go backwards a little bit, and that's why I started collecting for the Wii and the Wii U there's so many grails on here, it's hard for me to mention one particular one that I really care about. I mean, I guess I would have to agree with certain people in this video game community that Mario Odyssey is probably one of the best Mario games ever made. Other than that, Luigi's Mansion 3 I really enjoyed and played all the way through. And we're talking about kind of closer to like the launch titles. I really enjoyed Captain Toad's Treasure Tracker, the remake from the Wii U. I thought that was great, especially on the Switch. Just to have so many great titles in the handheld, and it just feels comfortable, you know. I have a Portal, I have a Steam Deck. The Switch just, to me, just feels comfortable, casual. Put it down, relax, you know, put it in your pocket, whatever. Some of my grails that I have put away on the side. I mean, there's a few grails in here I probably should rotate and put into my grail corner, but I can't really say which ones. Like, there are 2 loose games here. I would never collect a Hello Kitty game, but my wife loves Hello Kitty, and I know it's a valuable one on the Switch. I am looking for the case to that. I am also looking for the case to the Minecraft Story Mode 2, which I know is really hard to find, but finding these or trading them to people, you know, from people, trading and getting trades and stuff like that, and just hunting in general for the Switch, I think is really fun, especially when you can find a good title. I just picked up Lunar, so that's not including in my 700 or 750 to 800 games, 801 now or whatever. It was really cool because back in the day I had a massive PS1 collection. I had probably maybe like 400 to 500 games on the PS1. I had to sell it all, and one of the grails that I gave up was Lunar, as well as the second one. I'm very happy that I'm able to get that game again and have it on the Switch. So it's just amazing at what Nintendo has done, and I give them 100% credit. And because they have done so well with the Switch, I'm just going to go all in on the Switch 2. And that's what this is, guys. An empty shelf to start the Switch 2 collection. I was saying a couple of the grails I have in here are going to be the Super Mario 3D All-Stars. It's sealed. That's part of the doubles I have. I have an open version and a sealed version. All these little nooks and cranny things, they all came from GameStop or just little knickknacks. I went to game stores or just had trades with people, etc. Or finding at yard sales, thrift stores. Another grail here is going to be the sealed Mario Odyssey. I don't know if you guys can tell or identify the prints on Switch. I've known this for a while. I'm not sure if you guys know, but on the back here, there's a double SKU code. Third-party games don't really have this, so it's really easier to identify on actual Nintendo published games. Original print, first print would be 00000. Second print would be 1. Third print would be 2. So this is actually the third print of Mario Odyssey. Cool to have it sealed. I wish it was a 000, but I opened that and played the hell out of it. One of my first limited run titles that I ever ordered. And keep in mind, guys, when you guys collect games and you guys go, I'm going for a full set, or you know, I'm going for a Super NES set, or a Nintendo 64 set, or a GameCube set, or whatever it is, limited run and these little indie publishers never existed. Therefore, I think going for a complete collection on a Switch or a PS5 or anything that had the limited run or super rare publishers, I think is going to be a lot harder than going for a Super Nintendo, even an N64 collection, finding Sculptor Cut in box, etc. Finding all the games to all the limited run prints, I think would be more expensive and harder to do. So this is another reason why I collect for current gen. But my first limited run title that I ever ordered was actually Shredder's Revenge as the VHS set. Really cool to have this. And if you guys ever haven't played Shredder's Revenge, it's an amazing game. So now we're next to the Switch section, and we're over here. I got some collector's editions and stuff. I am a huge fan of Shadow of the Colossus. May I mention that again? And that's what this picture is here. But I have the grown-up 3DSs. I have the grown-up Switches, which I'm actually sacrificing one of my OLEDs to trade in for the Switch 2, which I've already almost paid off, so I might not even need to do that. But that's why there's only one here. I have one packaged away, ready to be sold to flip for the Switch 2. But I have a Zelda. It's dusty, sorry guys. I haven't played it in a while, I've been busy. It's the Zelda OLED Switch cases. I have a couple little accessories here, Switch accessories I didn't show. The Portal here, my Steam Deck, which is the highest model, I guess you could say first generation. I know they made the OLED. I got this at a yard sale for $200 at the time. This is actually something I paid for because I don't know if I told you, I would probably say 87% of this collection has been free. And that's been trading, yard selling, etc. I've been collecting games since I was 8 years old. Kind of like people I know who have been selling on eBay since 8 years old. Been collecting games for a long time, and I didn't really captivate on the making money aspect of it. I've always wanted to have a collection without having to pay full price. And ever since I was 8 to like 15, I was messing with cartridge stuff. And then about 15, I started getting into the disc stuff and started trading and stuff like that. Wasn't until a few years ago I decided that I was gonna do reselling video games. Regardless, the collection and my prior collections have been, majority of it has been free. Down here we have the dock to the Zelda Switch. A couple accessories here, the Pro Controller, the Wii U 32 gigabyte. I am looking for a white Wii U. It's because this generation's kind of weird. They started changing all the systems to white because if you pay attention, prior systems in the past, they always come out standard black, you know, and been looking for a white one because it kind of is, I guess, more rare than the 32 gigabyte one. Majority of people, they wanted the one with more memory, so that got sold more. Xbox Series here, I got this in a trade. I don't know, maybe in a video or something I show how I got it, but I ended up getting 2 of them. I never paid out of a pocket for an Xbox Series. Down here, we have an Xbox 360 white. This was from Gak Cognac. So I thank you, and if it wasn't for you, man, I wouldn't be making videos, so I gotta mention that real quick. Gak Cognac I started watching, and we kind of became friends, and he randomly came to my house to share some adventures as well as have lunch, and it was the coolest thing because you don't see YouTubers randomly go to people's homes, especially nowadays. So appreciate you, Gak, man, and thank Gak, guys, because I wouldn't be making videos if it wasn't for him. And over here, we got the matching white Xbox 360 Connect. This was really hard for me to find. I don't know why, because I've came across them so many times in the past. I just had a hard time finding the white one when I got that white Xbox 360. I wish they made a white PS3 camera, because I would have got that. I don't know if they did. Maybe there's a Japanese one, I don't know. But here is the white PS3 Ultra Slim, or Super Slim, or Slim 64, whatever you want to call it. Up here, we got the PlayStation 5 Pro. You guys know how I got that, and if you don't, go watch a video. It's only one. I know other people have taken longer to complete their missions, but I make sure I get my missions done in one day. I'm a huge book reader. I'm not that knowledgeable in books, but I do read some of these strategy guides. I do read in general. I know how to read. This is my strategy guide collection here. Back in the day, I was an employee at a certain place. I'm not gonna mention, but I know that after a game was released and the strategy guide came out with the game, it sat on the shelf for so long. After a few months, we were told to destroy or get rid of these items, and I would say about maybe a quarter of them came from that. Other than that, the rest have come in trades, lot buys, or thrift stores, yard sales, etc. I think one strategy guide I got at a swap meet at one point. But other than that, these ones here, a quarter of them were free, etc. And then the rest were like just trades and stuff like that. So I don't really have too many toys in my collection. whatever action figures you see have come from prior collections I had, because I used to collect a lot of collector's editions. I had PlayStation 3. I had maybe like 150 collector's edition for the PlayStation 3. It was ridiculous. I had a lot of figurines. I ended up getting rid of them all. But one of the ones I kept was the Dark Souls 2 figure from the collector's edition of the game. And as far as figures, the only figures I collect, except for some I make exceptions with, you saw recently I got the 2 Diablo figures. That had nothing to do with the, I don't think it had anything to do with Diablo 4, but there are figures I came across, and I think in a trade or something, I don't remember. But like this or something like that. I come across some video game related figures, I'll pick them up. Majority of my figurines are actually from collector's editions to games. My PlayStation 4 collection is at about maybe 640 games. The majority of the collector's editions that I have came from a prior loving and thriving thing I would like to grab and take as much as I could, because I loved the collector's editions for PS3, and I decided that I was going to collect as many collector's editions I could for the PS4. And I've come across good sales to where they're real cheap, and I would spend cash, but I made sure that I always would get that money back some way, somehow, video game related. The Last Guardian, believe it or not, I have not beat The Last Guardian, and it is part of the Shadow of the Colossus trilogy, I guess you can say. It is the prequel to Shadow of the Colossus. Shadow of the Colossus is the sequel to this. And then the sequel to Shadow of the Colossus is Eco. The director, he started a trilogy, but he started it backwards. Amazing series, and Shadow of the Colossus, again, is my favorite game of all time. I was so happy that they remade it. I was so happy that they actually announced this, because it took 10 years for them to come out with this. Just as long as it's taken GTA 6 to come out. So we won't get into that. But I'm very happy to have The Last Guardian. I didn't want to break the little figure, and I was running out of room, so I had to start packaging up most of my collector's editions. It just happens. Am I still going after collector's editions? No. And if I did, it would be Switch ones rather than PS4. I feel that PlayStation 5, there's no need to it, because it's going to be so rare to find even a physical copy on PS5 in the future, that I don't think it's necessary to go for collector's editions on the PS5. But if you come across them, do them. You know, grab them up, pick them up, because in the Grail wall here, we have a few awesome PS3 games that I obtained. I would like to thank, I think it was Doublemint that sent me this. Really cool game that I wanted for a long time, and I believe we did a trade. I have a sealed Fear, I believe a sealed Nier, a sealed Soul Calibur 5, Trails of Cold Steel, sealed collector's edition, Yakuza Dead Souls, Dragon Guard. I would have to say the most difficult game for me to find on the PlayStation 4 would have to be Godzilla. Now, a long time ago, I commented on Mort's Garage because he found it at a yard sale for 20 bucks. I was like, ass! I guess he took it in a wrong way. I don't know. But I didn't mean nothing by it. I've been looking for this game forever. Shout out to Mort's Garage. This was a trade with Oliver, a subscriber. So I appreciate that, Oliver, and shout out to you as well. Thank you for that trade, because I needed it, man. I don't know. And then we played it, and then we are like, oh, what a horrible game. But I needed it for the collection. I really don't need any of this stuff, but awesome to have. Alright, so I guess you could say, besides the Switch 2 that's coming out, PlayStation 5 is probably going to be the last physical console that I'm collecting for. I also believe it will be the last physical PlayStation system. Majority of people nowadays are playing digital games, and I think it's going to be a pretty crazy thing trying to find a lot of these games 20 years from now. My collection just hit 600 games on PlayStation 5. I would like to have 1,000 by the time I'm done. I think on any console, 1,000 games in that is like a set. I would like to get 1,000 for the Switch. I would like to get 1,000 for the PS4. You guys come this way. This here is going to be my collector's slash big box area. And I think a lot of these versions of the games are going to be well worth it in the long run. But one of my favorites is the Cowabunga collection. I just came across this in the wild. Pretty amazing for me to find that at a yard sale. These games, I would say, would be the best. I would think Yeez is going to be a good one later on down the line. A lot of the NIA games, anything Atlas. Over here in this corner, I have 3 wheel sets that go with racing games. I have one that works with the PlayStation 3 and 4, another one that works with the PlayStation 4 and 5, and then I have this one here that works with the Xbox 360 and Xbox One. They all have their stands. All of them I got in a trade or lots. I would have to say that all these games here on the PS5, I feel that all of them are hard to obtain, especially later on down the line. Alan Wake was one of them. A majority of the NIS games, I think a lot of the limited run prints are going to be well worth a lot of money later on in time. Lollipop Chainsaw is one of my perfect examples. Besides Silent Hill 2, that just recently came out. But I mean, these indie companies are reprinting these old games. They're making it better visually, frames per second wise. I mean, I know some like remakes and stuff like that suck, but I just think it's so cool. This is why I like the Switch so much, is they put all these older games back on a current hardware system, you know, and to me that's amazing. And this is why I only collect current gen. When you dump so many collections in your lifetime, I didn't grow up the wealthiest. I had to hustle, and I was always hustling the best I could to get my games, and that was my high, you know. I didn't do drugs. I've been around a lot of drug addicts. I've seen a lot of bad things and dealt with a lot of bad people and stuff like that. But this was my escape. This was my addiction, Iowa Retro Gaming Dad. And I'd rather have this addiction than any other one. Growing up, I always believed handheld systems were like a disgrace to real video games. I don't know if that makes sense to people, but I grew up in the 80s and 90s. And during that time, if I was playing a Game Boy game, I always felt like I should be at home playing that Nintendo game on the TV. You know, it just felt like what was missing was like the full-on entertainment of that system and what it can do, you know. I understand that handhelds are supposed to be on the go. That's why I love the Nintendo Switch so much, is because it's such a hybrid system. You can take it on the go. It's just being careful with it. You got to be careful with that thing. But this is my other handheld collection. I love the Vita. I think the Vita is a system that did not get as much hype as it should have. I have 2 versions of the Vita up here hidden, as well as a grip that holds both. I have the first generation. Some loose games in there, God Eater 2, Sly Cooper, Final Fantasy I just recently got not that long ago. And then in here is the second gen Vita. Both work, both are flawless condition. Down here is PSP. I have about 100 PSP games. One of the grails that I'm looking for on the PSP, believe it or not, is going to be a physical edition of Silent Hill Origins. Any Vita games that I come across, I try to snag up, especially if they have the cases. I do have a few loose Vita carts. If you really pay attention, I believe the Vita was really the first Switch, because if you think about it, Switch kind of took Nintendo kind of took the idea of the carts small like that from the Vita. One of the best finds I had was a Metal Gear Solid at Walmart HD collection on the Vita, sealed for $7.99. I still have it. It's in the grill. You might have seen it, you might have not. But another game that I really enjoy on the Vita is Child of Light. They also remade it on the Switch. It's an excellent game. I think a JRPG game. Other than that, this is going to be my full game collection, which consists of 3,867 games. That's not including the games I'm adding in. RJC did help me record this, so I appreciate it and I thank him. I have one more room to show you guys, which I just redid. So at the time we didn't have space, but we made space in our children's bedroom, and I put some posters up. I have been getting a lot of 1-up arcades at yard sales for some reason, so I'm just going to take it while I can get it. I did get this Pac-Man here for $75. This TV here is a Sony Bravia as well. They have their own VR. As you can see, my oldest likes to collect little arcade machines. Here is the VR1 with the PlayStation 4 Pro below it, a few controllers down below. I got this Xbox One X for $25. RJC was actually there when I picked it up. I have a Series X controller with it. If you guys don't know, the X controller works on the One. The Space Invaders I recently got at a yard sale for 50 bucks. Over here I have the Marvel Superheroes counter cabinet I got for a trade for a Dreamcast that I got for, I think, $25. So pretty awesome to have this little setup with the kids. And as you can see up here, my son is a Five Nights at Freddy's fan. He has his own little designs up. And then my uncle was one of the makers of Ghostbusters. If you guys don't know, now you know. So we have that up there to represent him. One of the reasons why I started collecting video games or started playing video games was because of my biological father and my uncle. I would go to Game Dude a lot when I was a kid. I also went to Software Etc., Funcoland, independently, did trades myself. Had friends that were a little older than me that could do the trades, because obviously if you're not old enough you have to have an ID and blah blah blah. But that was back in the day, in the early 90s. But yes, this is my game collection. I'm Easy Gamers. If you haven't subscribed and you are new to the channel, you guys are welcome to subscribe if you want. Thank you for checking me out and appreciate you.